Hello everyone, welcome to Motorture. This is going to be my first video of this channel, and I thought we'd start off this channel with a video about why I bought a CBR 600 RR. These are the 10 reasons why I decided to go ahead and purchase this motorcycle. Now, my name is Neil. I've been riding for, I don't know, probably 30 plus years, I would say. And this is my first sport bike that I ever owned. I've always loved these things. This is a 2006 model motorcycle, and the first thing I want to start with is the aesthetics of this motorcycle. So I'll put up a little video of what my bike actually looks like and the reason why I chose the 2006 model. So the 2006 is like the timeless look for these bikes. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the red of this bike, but also something that I really like about the 03 to 06 model is that the front fairing doesn't have like that center air induction between the two headlights, whereas the 2007 up does. Now, some people really prefer that look. For me personally, I like the look of this model more, although there are some advantages of having the newer model motorcycles. These bikes are just timeless in the way they look. They are so gorgeous, so beautiful, and I absolutely love the way they look. Another thing about this bike that's really unique amongst other bikes is the fact that it does have a fuel gauge. That is nice. A lot of these sport bikes don't really have fuel gauges on them, so the fact that this one does is a really handy thing. It's one of them things that isn't like a huge deal breaker for a lot of riders out there. Obviously, if they ride like other bikes like Yamahas and Suzuki's and all, those are all great bikes, and they just, they have the fuel light that actually kicks on, whereas this bike doesn't. You actually see the fuel gauge and you know how much fuel you have. It's just like that, it's like that little peace of mind that you get, and I really appreciate that Honda incorporated that fuel gauge. That is actually really, really cool. So that's another reason why I wanted to buy this motorcycle. Reason number 3 is the fairing. So something that's unique to the Honda motorcycles, at least this model, is the fact that all the fairings, including the tank, is just a bunch of covers. So like the tank on a lot of bikes is a steel tank, and there's advantages and disadvantages to that. But for me, I like the fact that there's just a plastic covering over the tank, because whenever you want to replace, like say, change the color of the motorcycle, you want to make it look different, it's just a lot easier to go out and you can buy an entire kit for this thing. Front fender, front fairing, all the side fairings, the lower cowl fairings, everything, the rear cowl, everything, the entire body for this motorcycle for about $600, maybe a little bit more, which is another reason why I wanted it. I just love that, just in case, I don't ever plan on laying it over or getting hurt on it, but you just never know, right? You're riding a bike, you just never know what can happen out there, what can pull out in front of you, and so on. So it's just a nice little peace of mind to know that I can easily replace the entire body, change the color if I want, replace it with the same fairings that I have, and it's just an easier route, because whenever a tank is damaged, you literally got to pay for that tank to get painted. You got to literally pay for everything to get done, whereas you can just buy an entire fairing kit for this motorcycle and you don't have to worry about it at all. It's pretty much a done deal, which is really, really nice. Reason number 4 is the Undertale Exhaust. This is something that's really unique to the CBRs, is that Undertale Exhaust. It's a really nice symmetrical look that it gives it this streamlined look, and the fact that your weight is distributed evenly on both sides, it just makes the bike super, super nimble, which leads me to the next thing about this bike that I really, really love, is that it is nimble. It is super, super easy to handle this motorcycle, which I absolutely love. Like, I mean, if you like, whenever you ride and you want to ride fast speeds, this is one of those bikes that you can easily get on and do it, right? It's really, really nice, man. I love the way that this bike rides. It's so cool. Like, it literally is a track bike. That's what this thing is, and it's really what it's meant for, but it doesn't mean you can't get out, have a little fun, cruise on it, and something I like. Another thing about this bike, and it's unique to mainly this bike, another bike with exhaust like it, is the fact that I have the Two Brothers full exhaust on it. It's not a slip-on, it's a full exhaust on this thing. And God almighty, guys, like, listen to this thing. Just listen to that thing, man. It just howls, man. It's, oh my God, it sounds so good. It's just such a badass thing to listen to. And whenever you do listen to it, you just want to gun the living crap out of it. You want to go as fast as you can, which isn't always the greatest thing, in all honesty. That can definitely get you in a lot of trouble. But as long as you're reserved and you got some restrictions within yourself, you can pretty much handle it, right? You can handle it. But man, every time I listen to this thing howl, I'm just like, oh my Lord, it sounds so good. It sounds so mean. I absolutely love the way these bikes sound. Oh my God, like, what a freaking beast. Woo! So another thing about these bikes that's really, really awesome is that, well, it's a Honda. So whenever you're buying something like this, you're getting that Honda reliability. These things are just known for going the extra mile. You can put up to 100,000 miles on one of these bikes if they're well taken care of. This motorcycle actually had 15,000 miles on it whenever I bought it. So as long as I take care of this baby, make sure she's always serviced, make sure that she's always got good oil, good antifreeze, good spark plugs, and so on, valve adjustments, all that good stuff, she will last, you know, that 100,000 miles, even getting out here, running her hard, going after it like crazy. And which leads me into the next point, which is kind of related. You could say these are two separate things or just one, but because of that reliability, and you have a lot of low maintenance, like the maintenance on this bike is pretty cheap for the most part. Yeah, there's some things that might get a little expensive, especially if you're doing like modifications to it. But overall, these bikes are actually pretty cheap to maintain. That's something I really love about them. Whereas you got other bikes out there that, you know, like Ducati, which is my favorite kind of motorcycle, but the service maintenance on those things is really ridiculous. The parts on them are ridiculous. I love them, but the Honda, let's be honest, it's just a whole lot cheaper than those bikes. So for me, when you're getting out and you're having fun and you're tearing the crap out of it, whenever you break something, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to replace it for the most part, right? For the most part, it won't be that bad to replace it. And that's another big reason why I love this bike. You know, the reliability is undeniable, and the fact that the maintenance is really cheap on these things is really, really sweet. So another reason why I love this bike, and it's not really necessarily, you know, just a Honda CBR thing, but just these older bikes in general, is the fact that it's raw. There's no ABS on this thing. There's no wheelie control, no traction control. Nothing like that is on this thing. When you ride this bike, you control the bike. You operate the bike. You are the head of this monster that's between your legs. You are the alpha of this machine. And for me, that's a really, really big deal. I really enjoy knowing that I'm the one controlling this motorcycle and it isn't controlling me. And not only that, but if you ever want to get wild and you want to have a little bit more fun, you want to try to do wheelies, you don't have anything restricting you, although on newer bikes you can turn a lot of that crap off. So it's not so bad on them, but some bikes you just can't do that, or at least some I don't think you can, and it's really annoying. And having a raw motorcycle is nice. There's disadvantages to it. Obviously, if you don't have ABS, you really need to know your brakes. You really need to know how much pressure to give these babies, at what speeds, and so on. But that's what, to me, is what makes you a better rider. That's, to me, like something that's really, really sweet about these. And it's just the idea that it is raw, right? It's a raw ride, which also means a lot less things that can go wrong with it, a lot less things that you have to pay for. And that's something else that I really, really love about these motorcycles. Now, another thing that I love about these motorcycles is, like, really depending on the kind of rider you are, would really depend if you like this or not. But something about these bikes is that when you're below that 8,000 RPM threshold, you really don't have a tremendous amount of low-end torque or mid-range torque, right? These bikes aren't really known for having all that mid-range torque. They're really known for, you know, they really start shooting up in the horsepower range whenever they get above that 8,000 RPM range. So below that, they're very easy to maintain. They're not that hard to control or ride whenever you're doing that. Like, you know, you can give it a pretty good amount of gas and it won't go crazy on you unless you're just a complete idiot and you're just giving it full throttle. I mean, if you're giving it through full throttle on the low end, then obviously she's going to wheelie, she's going to do some crazy stuff easily in first, second gear, no problem. Easily will fly up on you and flip over, and that you definitely don't want that. But if you have any kind of sense at all when you ride, it won't do that. You got a lot of leeway in that throttle to where you can actually afford to make some mistakes. The bike, the 600cc RR, is a little bit more forgiving, or actually quite a bit more forgiving than, say, like the 1000 or the liter bikes, right? And that's something that's really nice about it, especially for someone that hasn't rode a lot of these bikes or is a beginner, never been on one. And that's something that I really love about it, because I've been riding bikes, you know, as I said earlier, for years and years and years. But this is my first sport bike. I've rode other sport bikes. I rode a Kawasaki H2, which is an absolutely beast of a motorcycle. But honestly, I felt like that thing was just ridiculous and really just too much in my opinion. But that's just me. You know, some people would think, oh, you know, it's all good, we want to go crazy, and that's fine. But not really for me. I personally prefer knowing that the bike isn't going to get away from me as easy as other bikes. It's a lot easier to control because it doesn't have a lot of mid-range torque. You know, like you get on a Yamaha R6 and them things are torquey as hell. And yeah, they're a lot of fun and it's all good and there's arguments for having that and there's nothing wrong. Those things are beautiful. I love all bikes, okay? So that's something I want to be clear about in this video, is that I love all bikes. I don't care what the model is. Harley, R6s, CX6Rs, the liter bikes, Ducati, H2s, whatever the case may be, Hayabusas. I love them all. I just love bikes in general. I'm just letting you all know why I bought the 2006 CBR 600 RR. This is pretty much my favorite model motorcycle, other than getting into like with the more expensive bikes, which are the Ducati Panigales. And babies, I mean, I just love those things tremendously. And funny enough, you know, a lot of them are red, which is actually pretty interesting. So that concludes the reasons why I love the 2006 CBR 600 RR. Let me know what your favorite motorcycles are, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody. Take care.